yeah, and it's time for the Game Sports Podcast. It's your host, David McCaig Jr., going first to one of my co-hosts joining this evening here on the Top Shelf segment, Brendan McCarthy, all the way in Ajax, the GTA area. Brendan, my friend, how's it going?
I'm doing well, boys. It's good to be back with you. I gotta say, I took some heat from our previous social post. If you haven't noticed, I've been using a phone compared to my co-hosts here, Parr and McCaig. And I was very much zoomed in. I don't know if you guys remember that show, The Proud Family, when they would always zoom in on that like large man. I felt like I was that guy, or I was like Thanos or something.
I thought you were giving me the vibe
Thanos.
of the guy from Home Improvement who's like peeking over the fence and you can only see his eyes.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's massive. He's like, that's his iPad. He's a giant. No, but good to be back with you, boys.
Yeah, I'm good. It's obviously good time. Obviously this is a pre-recorded version of the Game Sports Podcast. And Parr, you and I met on this show as actually how you and I became friends, was you jumping on as a co-host on this show back when we were participating in a different stream service, I guess you could say. I won't. There's no names. There's no free ads on this show. It's not happening.
What would you even be advertising?
That's so true. Long story. Brendan has no idea what that is. We'll loop you in after. My friend, the only Alex Parr. Man, love the stash. One.
It was an accident.
Two, still love the Daily Bugle and the Jays hat that you wear. You're always full of surprises each week, dude. I like it.
Yeah, I should have taken it as an omen when I messed up shaving my beard before the Packers playoff game, that it was probably the end of the playoffs and the beard at the same time. And I didn't put that together. I accidentally messed it up. So this was all I had left. So
got some Poppy vibes going here.
I'm not a mustache guy. You know, Miles Teller had his mustache in that one movie, and every white guy ever was just like, oh, I can do that. I can be Miles Teller. No, you can't do that. And now mustaches are everywhere. That's not my vibe. This is all I got left right now, though.
I like the look. I like it.
Thanks, Dave.
I love it. And I'm hoping to have a different color back here in my background. Last week, as I mentioned, your Daily Bugle background. I'm going to have to take down this jersey, too, over here. But that's for the In the Pocket segment for sure. We're talking hockey, which obviously you see in this segment being called Top Shelf. It makes sense. Well, I hope it does to you. So we got lots to get into, fellas, in just a short period of time. And we'll see if time is, we said that's our improvement this year is the goal with the Game Sports Podcast. So we'll see if that happens. The joys of pre-recording. Brendan, I want to go to you first because when it came to talking about stuff this week, the item that you brought up first that seemed to be on your list was comments about Mitch Marner. Now, I just want to stress to everybody that obviously here on the Game Sports Podcast, we talk all teams and obviously in its entirety. But when the Leafs have a comment or something comes out, the Leafs are always in the highlight of it. The highlight, the spotlight, the spotlight of it as I trying to figure out what English word to say. So there is some thing that we can bring up with Mitch Marner. So giving you the floor, Brendan. Take it away.
Yeah, I understand it's extremely challenging to play in a market like Toronto, but Mitch Marner has been in Toronto long enough to understand that what you say is going to be dissected in its entirety because of what city you're playing in. And yes, I know he's not good with the media, and yes, the Leafs are still atop the Atlantic. They've struggled the last two games, but it's just mind-boggling how this guy, and he's extremely well-liked. He's extremely well-liked, and he's a phenomenal hockey player. But you are contractually obligated to answer to the media on a regular basis, and this isn't the first time he's rubbed people the wrong way. He said and referred to himself as a god after losing to the Bruins in 7. And it's unfortunate because you guys know the fan base in Toronto. It's just nuts, right? And they follow every story, every player to a T. So I think really what pissed off fans, they're not worried that they're going to drop because they're a great regular season hockey team. We know that. But I think just owning it sometimes. You know, I listen to interviews across the league with Nathan McKinnon, JT Miller, Brady Tkachuk. Like, when it's a shit game, they will acknowledge it and they will be the first to say, hey, we didn't play well tonight. our performance isn't what it should be. It starts with me, and we need to figure it out. Mitch Marner, the leader on that Toronto Maple Leaf Hockey Club, he's arguably the best player on that hockey club. And for him to just kind of pout, I find he's very pouty. It's not going to sit well, Mitch. It's not going to sit well at all. So clean it up, because I guarantee you, you will be beloved if you just change the way your demeanor is around the media, because it's really, really tough to watch. I don't know about you guys, but it's extremely nauseating to watch him with the media.
Parr, you can go first.
Whew!
Mitch Marner could come to my door and uppercut me all he wants and tell me I'm a loser and smell bad if he was winning. I don't have the time and the effort to drain myself over this activity that's supposed to be like a fun thing for me over something somebody said in the middle of January during games that don't really matter. People say, well, you can't lose that game. You're going to. Good teams are going to lose games. We're supposed to win all the time. And then, like, it's just... This team is so draining. I remember sitting here last year in December when a bad loss happened and something, I'm sure Marner said something stupid. And everybody forgets that come May. It's like just... being a Leafs fan is so exhausting, and like this right here, the fact that we're even having this conversation is a prime example of why if I'm playing hockey, you're not only going to tax me higher than anywhere else, you're also going to just like me trying to come out to the media and have some semblance of positivity is now going to get me through the ringer. Like, oh man, I can't. The Steve Simmons, the Athletic lately, just everybody. They lose one game after a 5-game winning streak, and it's, is the Leafs goaltending good enough? Oh man, like I can't do it anymore. I can't.
I think it's just the response though part, right? That's all people want is to just recognize you were bad. He always seems to be like Mitch Marner against the city. It's like, brother, kids adore you and people love, putting their hard-earned money towards going to watch you play. But when you're bad, accept it. You're not going to go 82-0. And that's all people want to see. It's always been that attitude amongst Matthews and Marner. It's just like, oh, well, we don't care what you guys have to say. I remember he said that when they were up, when they were down 3-0 against the Cats in round 2 years ago. He's like, we don't care what you guys have to say. I'm like, okay. Yes, you do.
Let me phrase it in this light. Would you say Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews' attitude is worse than the narratives the media spin? Which one would you say is worse?
That's a great question.
Right? Is it not
is their attitude worse than how they're perceived by the media, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like that Athletic article, literally after they lost that 5-game losing streak, the first article they put out was, is the Leafs goaltending good enough? It's just...
Stolarz and Wall's save percentage, like that's a ludicrous comment.
You lose one game after a 5-game losing streak, and that's immediately what you want to go to. It's just like this entire culture of losing.
I agree that everything is blown up after, the smallest of blemishes occur. But it's just how you respond. Like when you have Chris Tanev, a vet, and your own coach saying we were flat, we got to be better. And then Mitch being like, oh, it's great. I thought we had plays. You lost 3-0 and the team you were facing only got into the city 6 hours before puck drop.
And if people want to know, it's to say quote unquote, and you can search it, but to give you a quick summary, quote unquote. From Mitch, I liked it. I thought we played well. I really did. In the last couple of games, we have been giving up plays to teams that aren't missing on them. I thought we were good and 5 men tight in our zone. We went through the neutral zone as a unit. When we didn't do that, that is when breakdowns happened, and they generated a lot of offense out of it. This is what we need to be better at. We will look at it and fix it. So the point that people are really targeting is that I liked it. I thought we played well. I really did. Those are the first point of the statement that people are saying, well, no, you didn't. You lost to a team that has been struggling and a team that you should beat and a team that this. And yes, I like Parr's example. Everything in Leafland, you can win 10 in a row, but you lose that one game. Sell the farm. Or, oh my goodness, we got to trade this guy. This guy's comments, it's really heavily observed. But this is the thing. You're the hockey mecca of the world. That's what you sign up for in Toronto. That's what you sign up for in Montreal. That's what you sign up for in these teams that are passionate. I think Toronto fans are a little bit more fragile, aggressive, upset, whatever term you
Fair.
want to say, because they haven't won. The Toronto Maple Leafs haven't in over 55 years. Okay, they haven't won since 1967. And there's people that have been alive that hasn't seen a cup. There's been people that hasn't seen things in color. I'm 33 years old, and I haven't seen past the third round. I've seen the conference finals as a fan. I've seen some playoff runs, which were great in the late 90s when I was literally a child. Like, I was young. Like, there's just this notion that this is an organization that is so heavily full of the spotlight. But look at it, the mannerisms in the hockey rink. It's a business field. I feel like you're on a business meeting in there. The atmosphere isn't where they should be. It's because this has been so accepted in this hockey media and this hockey mecca of the world that, yeah, it's a great place to play. You're the center of the universe. You're a god. If you win, you get a statue. The team that does win will have a statue. So I'm telling you right now that all that pressure, okay, the players feel it. And people get fed up by it. Marner is fed up by it. You can see it in his personality. Matthews, he's wearing the C. He better not be fed up by it because he's going to be the center of attention for that. But all in all, this is an organization that has been on the spotlight extra because they're supposed to succeed. They're supposed to do well, and they don't play when it matters. And this is why it gets highlighted for Mitch, because he is so nonchalant. No matter what he's doing on the ice, he's not that guy that holds that accountability, and he's that guy who thinks on the other side of it with his freaking wallet before he thinks with his heart. Look at Crosby. Look at these guys that have won. These guys have the recipe and know how to win. Mitch doesn't. He's worried about Mitch.
That's great.
Go ahead.
Everything that you said is great and well said, Dave. But all I'll say, simply put, the pressure and all these articles you mentioned, the Athletic Parr, like, if their attitude changed, and that's something you can switch. It's not something like just accept it. You can say, like you read Mitch's quote after the loss to the Canucks. You can say, I thought we played well. Ultimately, we lost though. And we need to touch up some things and look at tape and rebound, and we'll be ready to go against Dallas. Now, we're recording this pre-Dallas game on Jan 14th. Mitch could come out and get 3 assists tonight, right? That's the mystery of the Leafs, which I think also haunts Leaf fans, is in a crucial, pivotal win-or-go-home situation, does a performance against the Canucks show up, and does the response afterwards creep back in? And they say that. Because remember when they lost to the Bruins, no one took ownership. Nobody. So I think the attitude in front of the camera has to change.
I think I'm just an outlier, because if you were to ask anybody, like, give me a typical hockey interview, Dave, keep it short and sweet for me here. Dave, you were out there in the second period, you took a bad penalty. What's it going to take to bounce back?
Honestly, it was certainly an undisciplined play by me, and I have to be smarter in that situation. I have to think of team first, and I can't let my emotions get better of me. I'm going to come out in the third period and try to rebound from that and help my team get the win.
Cool, right? It's such a typical hockey answer. It's just like the guy's not even doing it. It's just muscle memory because nobody cares. Hockey players aren't allowed to show their personality. And now we just don't like something somebody said. So, oh no, the world's ending. We don't even care what these guys have to say 99% of the time. But, you better say the right thing or else. But otherwise, we don't really care because you're just going to say pucks deep, pucks hard to the net, listen to coach's game plan. Yeah, 4 lines banging. Yeah.
I'm media trained, guys. Just kidding. You know what? Honestly, just for sake of time, great topic to discuss, but I think this is just heavily highlighted because you're in Toronto and it's Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner is someone who's on the center of conversation this year a lot more because he's in a contract year. And there's been story going in, so there's a lot of the things you're trying to pick to say, and there's been no accountability in that locker room. And I know Berube, I don't know Berube, but I can see from Berube's approach, I'm sure he had a little chat with Marner, right? Like a little on the side.
I'm sure.
Keith would have said something like, I didn't know Mitch said
He would have said, have fun.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think that's the thing too in Toronto. You got to keep things in the team. You got to, any kind of discipline or any kind of conversation. Berube did his answer, and I'm sure he had a comment about Mitch. I can't recall. I'm sure he said, okay. He would just shrug it off. That's where you got to keep it with him, but the team does have to come back and play the next game, or if it's the playoffs, whatever it is, they have to play with some of the heart and that accountability and own up to when they're not playing well. Okay, that's what
you got to think.
I get it.
You gotta think Berube pulled him into the office and said, Mitch,
right,
like, be better. Right? And he's been told he's great his whole life. And finally now he has a coach who will just, shoot from the hip and say, you weren't good. And your comments in the media, I don't know what game you were watching, Mitch. Maybe your line clicked the odd time, but look at the scoreboard. And, if I was a fan, I would have asked for a refund, period. So moving on, folks.
So the next thing we'll say quick, I know John Klingberg wants to come back to the National Hockey League. We won't get into too much time here because we don't know what's going to happen the next couple of days. But it seems like he wants to come back into the NHL. Edmonton's been rumors for suitability. So has the Toronto Maple Leafs again have circled into that, which they have a lot of depth of defense. I don't really see the necessary need. I know it's always good to have depth, but if they're going to upgrade more on defense, I'd rather look at someone who is more defensive-minded. I know Klingberg has really evolved to more of that two-way offensive defenseman, but he's going to get some interest. He's somebody who could do well on a power play, someone who could do well if healthy. But any reaction about John Klingberg potentially coming back where he had a brief stint in Toronto? Parr.
If it was me, I would just enjoy my all-inclusive stay on the island and probably just enjoy my drinks and kick my feet up and let the water, go on my toes and just enjoy it and soak that sun in. But I mean, if he wants to come back, I don't know who's to tell him that he can't do it until he proves that he can't do it. I mean,
what is he making? Just over $4 million to stay away effectively?
Yeah. I mean, hey, if somebody wants to, yeah, you know what? You can pay me 25% of that and I'll go out to an island for you. So I'll just leave that offer out there.
Yeah. So I read today that I think the Senators and Oilers are interested. I have a strange feeling that the Oilers might just be like, you want to play on the bottom pair? Like, they have a history of going after ex-Leaf defensemen, a la Cody Ceci.
They love Leaf. If you're a former Leaf, you go to Edmonton. You're there. But if I'm John Klingberg, I'd take this approach. Look at a team that needs that quarterback on a power play. No matter what the place is, no matter what it is, try to set yourself up for success to show that you can still play. If you go to a team that you're going to be buried in the bottom pair, you're not going to be able to be that defenseman that you're looking to come back and be at 100% and who you were pre-Toronto. So I feel like Toronto isn't the fit. I feel like going to a team that may need him the most to really quarterback would be a good fit. And you know what? Maybe that is San Jose. Maybe that is Nashville. Maybe that is somewhere where he can just get more ice time to show his worth. That's what I think I'd like to see with John Klingberg, to be honest.
And if you look at the past guys who were basically shipped to Robidas Island, Stefan Robidas, Joffrey Lupul, they never came back. I remember when a report came out, Joffrey Lupul wanted to come back. Nazem Kadri was like, he's the most in-shape guy on the team. He looks incredible. He wants to make a comeback. They don't make a comeback. And honestly, as Parr said, if you're just paying me to stay away, I'll stay away. So I'd be shocked if the Leafs brought this guy back. If anyone, I think, were to snag him, it might be Edmonton. But we'll see.
And that might happen after this recording. So if it does, that's why we talk about things on here too that we mentioned just in general points that it doesn't make sense, I think, for him to just go somewhere to try to win. He should bounce back for himself. Okay, yeah. I know we wanted to talk about the outdoor games in the Winter Classic, but for keeping time's sake, we have to get into a couple blind rankings and do a couple discussions here.
Let's do it.
And I want to make sure that we allow the time for that. So next week, I know we really focus on Mitch Marner, and I said that we talk about all teams, but you know what? We really got hung up on the Mitch Marner conversation today, which is good. But next week, we'll make sure we dive into the Winter Classic and outdoor games. We have a big reaction, and we definitely like to have listeners' engagement into that. But today, we're going to table that and be our teaser for next week. So we're going to do something that we missed out on, but that we didn't do last week on last week's episode. And there's going to be a blind ranking. There's going to be kind of just overall quizzes for each other. Parr's going to ask me and Brennan something. Brennan's going to ask me and Parr something. Then I'm going to ask Alex and Brennan something. We're just going to go around the horn for 3 sets of different quiz-type questions and answer them for you to interact on. And I'm going to go first. I'm kind of feeling the vibe to go. No, not to me. Not to me. I know I said I was going to go first, but I mean, no, I'm going to.
Dave's World. We're just paying rent.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We're just showing up early because he's always late.
That's it. I'm always behind. But I'm actually going to go to Brennan first. What I meant to say is I'm going to go to Brennan first. I'm feeling you to go first, Brennan. That's where my mind is right now.
I'm actually pretty giddy to give you my ranking. So I'm doing current NHL enforcers for you to rank. 5 of them, okay?
5, okay.
There's a bunch, but I actually had to, go back and forth, add, subtract. But I think this list is pretty good. So, ranking current NHL enforcers.
Parr, you can go
Number
first.
one.
Okay.
We're doing
And
this
then
together,
you guys
Dave.
will
We're doing this
do
together.
your order, right? You guys will do the order
Mhm.
together, right? This is just random. Okay. Number one, Curtis McDermott on the New Jersey Devils.
To be honest, Parr, because we're going to talk about this, to be honest, I actually wrote a list because I totally misunderstood my own instructions to this game and wrote 5 down for myself.
Are you kidding me? Are you for real, dude?
He's basically saying, buzz off.
So we won't go with my list. But
Go on. Was Curtis McDermott on the list?
Yes.
Where'd you have him?
Oh my God.
I had him at 4.
You know what, Dave? It's your world. We're just paying rent.
You guys are breaking up. You're breaking up, man.
Put him at 4. I was thinking.
The fellowship
4,
has ended. The fellowship has
I just
departed.
think he's a guy who isn't afraid to drop the gloves. Okay, and what's ultimately he's just someone that when it comes to mind, he is someone that would go out there and stand up to the other guys that I'm sure you're going to mention on this, and just came to mind. There's a very limited few where back in the day it would be hard for me to name the top 5. So I think 4. Parr,
Yeah.
So 4.
Love it.
Okay, 4. Okay, Matt Rempe.
Depends. Is he even in the NHL? I know he is right now.
To be honest,
Yeah, I was gonna do. Go ahead, Dave.
He wasn't on my list, but he is on the test, right? So we got to rank. So, Parr, if you,
I was gonna do like a minimum 10 games in the show this year, but I'm like, he gets so much, attention. So he's
good pick. That's a good
Matt
name.
Rempe.
That's a good name.
I'm gonna say
Shit,
3.
Okay.
But if he was around more, I could see that being higher.
Okay, so locking in 3.
Yeah, he's not a 1. I'm not saying he's 1, but if he played more, I know that for being as big and strong as he is, he would beat the shit out of a lot of guys. Okay, so he would be.
So 4 and 3.
So 3. I think
You think he would be 1?
Would be 1. Yes, even over Ryan Reeves. I don't care what anyone says. If
Nick
he actually
Delorier?
like he was on my list too. Yeah.
He's on the IR right now. I believe Delorier has played less games than Rempe this year, funnily enough.
Wow.
He's been hurt. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
But I agree with 3 with Parr for Rempe 3.
Okay, so McDermott 4 and then Rempe slots in at 3. Matthew Olivier on the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, he's a big
That guy's
boy,
been
too.
throwing him this year.
Tough.
He, I believe he was successful against Rempe last winter.
He was.
It was a good bout. It was definitely a good bout.
Rempe doesn't always win his fights. He fights a
No,
lot.
no.
But,
Keep in mind, Matthew Olivier is like 6'1" and Rempe's like 7'5". So
true.
So think of this, though, Parr. I'm trying to think of future things he's going to have. I know he can't answer this, but he's probably going to have Delorier or Reeves on that list.
I don't think he's gonna have Delorier anymore.
You don't think
you
so?
guys are missing a sheriff. Okay, where do you put Olivier?
Or Jack Guy, or is he going to have Jack Guy on that? Is he gonna
No,
have Jack Guy?
Arbor Jack I can go down at 6.
Wow.
I think Olivier, because this is me preparing, but he
Done.
throws.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. I love it. 5.
Where 5? Okay.
Yeah.
Rebo. Uno.
So here's the thing: is like I want to say 1 because guys aren't even challenging him anymore.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even get asked to dance anymore.
He said today, he's like, I need one, like badly.
Man,
like I need a fight.
He's a force to be reckoned with when he fights, and no one is fighting him. And and you see it when he's on the ice that he protects who's out there. Okay, because it's different. It's a different Aurora.
Everyone plays bigger for sure.
Exactly. I say 1, and that's not a Leaf bias. That is just a 1 because he is, in my opinion, the top.
I am such a lover of Ryan Reeves' game. For 8 minutes a night, that's the kind of guy I want out there. And I've said that on record so many times. 8 minutes a night, I don't care. He goes and bangs in the offensive zone and gets them an offensive draw and gets off the ice. Great. Love it. Leave it at number 1. 8 minutes a night, come on.
1. Yeah.
So that means the sheriff, Arbor Jack guy, is at number 2.
Weak.
I should have put Olivier up there with, damn it, with 2.
That guy, Arbor Jack guy, give him 2 more years and he's going to be blowing the dust off his Costco shirt and getting back to work, okay? So.
Wow. Okay. He got a contract. He got a little bit of term, though, did he not?
I don't know what his contract is.
No, he got some term.
Maybe he'll see this clip and he's going to say, Parr, I want you in a fight.
I was just
hit
looking up, guys. Matt Rempe has played 7 games in the show this year, and Delorier is also at 7 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
Delorier's been hurt. Delorier's tough, man.
He's a tough customer, dude.
Very tough. If yeah, that's a good list. I like that. I'm a little mad about Jack Eye, but that's fine. Played it safe.
So you guys, just to put a bow on it, you have Revo 1, Jack Eye 2, Rempe 3, McDermott 4,
yeah,
and then Olivier 5. That's a good list.
Yeah.
And of course, there's other Tanner Janot.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nick Delorier. The guy on Florida this year, he's a stud in terms of fighting. Jonah Gadjevich, he can throw him, man. He can throw him. So
throwing it too on Calgary.
We almost need 10. You almost need it, but again, time, right? So.
All right, Parr. Next one's you. I'll go last.
I want to incite rage in Canadian fan bases. So I picked 5 young talents on Canadian teams. I want you to rank them based on how good you think they are right now and include what you think they can project to be. So all of it encompassing.
Blind ranking, right?
Blind ranking. And number 1, we're going to start off with Juraj Slafkovský.
And they're 5, right?
There's 5 of them. They're all from a Canadian team. They're all relatively young, like rookie season, second season kind of vibe.
Okay, Brandon. I don't think Slafkovský is living up to the hype at all. And I don't think he's he's not 1. He's not a 1. I don't think he's even a 2. But
Kevin, let's go 4.
He's not a 5. He's a 4. I'm happy with the 4 or 3. So I'll go with a 4. I'll agree. 4.
Next up, Dustin Wolf.
Oh.
Still not enough yet. And it's
Cal. 5.
Really? Okay. Matthew Nyes.
Love. But not going to be biased. I'm not going to be biased.
You're very biased. You put Revo at 1, and now you're going to put Nyes at 1 too?
No, I was thinking, okay, very nice, but anyway, I had to do it. You have to do it. You got to do it.
No. I think I know what Parr's doing here. Let's do. Are you saying 3? I thought you were going to go for 1.
2 or 3.
Let's go 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can handle 3. Yeah.
Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, got to be 2.
Yeah.
Damn, I'd love to swap 2 and 3.
Yeah.
2.
And that leaves Jake Sanderson at number 1.
Look,
yeah, he's a stud. 1. I like that.
I like that. And a defenseman too. Like,
yeah.
If you have a good young D, you don't need 7,000 points. Okay, you just get the job done back there. It doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah.
I've talked about that on this pod at no end.
There was no more fun that I've ever had in an NHL arena that when the Sanderson contract first got signed, I was just like, oh, some guy was wearing a Sanderson jersey next to me. I'm like, you guys paid way too much for that guy, eh? Holy, did that start a fight. That guy was so mad on behalf of Jake Sanderson.
So mad. Yeah.
Okay, let's recap quick.
Yeah.
Young Canadian talent on Canadian teams, I should say. Jake Sanderson 1, Cole Perfetti 2, Matthew Nyes 3, Juraj Slafkovský 4, and Dustin Wolf at 5.
I'd probably swap
love it.
3. I'd probably swap 3 and 2, but I love that list. I think.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
why don't we save yours? We're pretty heavy.
Dave, your call, Dave. We're in your world.
Yeah, true.
We said we're going to do it. We're doing it.
Okay, all right.
Goal horns. Not doing 5, doing 3. Top
goal
3,
horns. Love it.
Top 3 goal horns, past or present. It doesn't matter now. It can be in the past. If you think of one that you know that goes off in your head.
Okay.
Top 3 goal horns. No blind ranking.
Since it's list. 3,
you just list
3 respectively for Parr and I. 3 respectively.
Yes, you guys list your 3.
So I was actually listening to a goal horn today. It fires me up on my way to work. I'm gonna put. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
No,
but,
you weren't.
And you're gonna. And, oh, I swear to God.
Love
and
it.
it's funny because it's like it's a team that might shock you.
Boston.
But I won't give it away yet. So number 3, I'll do the early 2000s Canadians Vertigo.
Oh, cool.
And they're like kind of train horn at number 3. Number 2, we were talking off air that Hall & Oates is synonymous with losing, but I thought it was honestly kind of catchy, and I actually loved it. So give me that at number 2.
Okay.
And number 1, Zombie Nation, Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Fires me up.
Damn.
It's a really good one. That one's burned into my brain. There's been so many times where I've been like, I've
synonymous with meltdowns.
Yeah. Well, like I have the NHL like soundtrack Spotify playlist saved on my phone, so if I just hit random to go through, that one is one I have to force myself to skip sometimes. Great tune, but I don't want to cry in part of my morning commute. Like I was saying to the guys, like
I get fired up, man. Oh, I don't know why. I'm psychotic, I guess, but
my hockey fandom like does not go as far as goal horns. Like I know like the Leafs one, and people don't like that. I know the guy this year has been like hitting the button a few more times, like instead of just a long like.
I hate that.
I love it. Oh my god, have some fun.
Hold it down.
No.
You have one job. Hold it down for like a good 5 Mississippis. It's just like he's just going like this.
I like it.
Backspace,
I like
backspace.
it. He's having fun. Yeah. He's getting fired up. Man, trigger finger. I love it. I love it. I don't know, Jesus. Guys. Like, I'm going to go the train horn 3, 18-wheeler transport at 2, and a boat horn at 1, because they're all the same. They're no fun.
Mail-in list. What a mail-in list.
Because I'm not sitting there going, oh, yeah, that horn had some good bass to it. But
on.
I think this train had a little bit more treble. Well, guess what, Dave? You know what? We may be living in your world, but I got my own house here too.
But yeah, here's the thing.
If he's the captain, we're never showing up for a game on time. At least we'll be there halfway through the second.
Just to support
Tuesday
Parr,
roast.
because Parr couldn't get the answer done. I'll do mine because I'll be nice. Number 3, Chicago Blackhawks.
Sure.
Number 2, Pittsburgh Penguins. Goal horn.
What even is it?
And number 1, Vancouver Canucks. I actually like their goal horn and their song after because their fans really get into it. If you don't know what it is, check it out. Might be a weird list, but I'm not putting, even though I love Boston's song, I will not put that on the list. I will not put Boston do it, but it would be my number 1. That's the goal horns that I will name.
Okay? How do you guys know these things? How do you guys know these goal horns?
I think playing hockey helps me a little bit too. I think that.
Oh, I forgot you were in the show and you got to listen to all of these. So
yeah, I played in the 2013 Game 7 collapse.
Buddy, you don't even play an NHL 25, let alone playing in the show.
I gotta let you and Dane catch up to my goal scoring ability.
Dude, okay? Dane can't score a goal to save his life, dude. It's crazy.
He can't. He can't. If you guys don't, before we get too off topic. Okay. Well, fellas, this is 7 minutes over my expected time if you read my text. So we're going to wrap it up there, fellas. When we get back next week, I'm excited to talk about that outdoor game stuff because I think it's going to create a little discussion because I think, you know what? I'll table it. This has been the Top Shelf segment. Nonetheless, Brendan, thank you for taking the time. It's been fun. I love these blind rankings. I love these quizzes, these discussions, get people going. If you're not prepared like Parr and just come up with a random fucking answer.
Nobody cares about goal horns except nerds, okay?
I'm a nerd.
Come on, man.
I'm a nerd.
We're going to call you Mail-in Parr.
I love it. I'll go back to work. I'll go hang out at the CP headquarters. I don't care. I'm in Ottawa. I'll go right down over there.
Parr, thank you as always, man. It's fun.
Hey, don't forget, if you want an alliteration, you're going to refer to me as Purelator Parr, okay? So if you want to address me, you address me correctly.
Nail it in. Sire Purelator Parr. Okay? Sire.
Purelator Parr. All right. Good with me.
Fellas, it's been good. One thing I will say, too, we didn't do our redraft this week, but again, we'll do that next week, okay? 1998 is what we will do next week. So we had those picks. We don't have the time. We'll have to tease it for you and get you next week. So, again, thank you very much to Brendan. Thank you very much to Alex here on the Top Shelf segment. Dave McCaig here going to take a few moments as Parr changes his name at the bottom. If you catch it on video, I saw it. We're going to come back. We got more here on the Game Sports Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. This is your host, David McCaig Jr. Getting into our Chuck a Puck segment. If you're on video, you get to see the official Soo Greyhounds puck. I can't chuck it, but I will drop it there right at center ice for you. I am joined by co-host of Chuck a Puck with yours truly, the one, the only Jordan Trudeau. Trudes, my friend, great to see you again this week, pal.
Yeah, quick turnaround. We're recording Friday, and then we're back at it just Wednesday of this week. Yeah, glad to be back.
Yeah, with the consistent content. A little bit late last week. The holidays, right? We were a little slow moving last week.
And trade deadline too. Right?
Trade deadline, and then we had to recover from that World Junior disaster. There was a lot to touch on, right? And if this is your first time listening to Chuck a Puck, to give everyone a reminder, because obviously we do content that's the national, we do regional, local, regional, national perspective, but this is based with the Ontario Hockey League, obviously, that we touch on, but primarily focused with our local team where we're located, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, the heart of the Great Lakes. If you know, you know, give it a search. The Soo Greyhounds, look, yeah, there's a lot of history to this franchise. So if you are tuning in from outside of Sault Ste. Marie, Wayne Gretzky played for this team. Joe Thornton played for this team. If you're a Leaf fan, you know that Kyle Dubas was the GM of the Soo Greyhounds. It took a lot of Greyhounds, okay? So don't just think of it in that light, okay? This team and this city, this community is a very strong hockey town, and obviously the Hounds have that support. And this is a season for the Hounds where it's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a rebuilding year, and the trade deadline was really busy. We talked about that last week. We gave our grades. We post that on social media. Make sure you interact with that. But on Chuck a Puck, we talk Soo Greyhounds primarily with some OHL focus where the news is hot. And there is some news outside of the Soo Greyhounds that we'll get into on this segment. But first, Trudes, getting to the weekly update here on Chuck a Puck about the Soo Greyhounds. Where are we at on today? What happened last week? What's happening this week? Let's give the listeners our update.
Okay, sounds good. Just before the update, small shout out. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Keegan Gillen last night. He was out for supper with his father Gib, who's in town, his billet dad Mike, and another billet parent Brent. So they actually waved me over, and we had a really cool conversation. So just want to say, like, all of you that are listening, it sounds like, you know, our content is reaching the right people, and it's positive, and you know, it's one thing to have the opportunity to be able to sit here and talk about, you know, like our passion and the team that Dave and I both grew up watching, but it's another to hear it's reaching the players and the parents of the players and lots of different fans is just really cool. So
yeah, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, and we appreciate it too. Like it was so cool. It was such an honor. So don't hesitate. Feel free, reach out. We love that interaction. That's kind of what we wanted.
That's what we want. And if you want to be a guest on this show too, which, you know, maybe we're trying to work out different guests, but you can certainly reach out. We want the fans as a guest. We're not just looking at organization with the players and management. Yes, we're looking into that, but we want the involvement with the fans, with the community, where the passion, that the butts that sit in the seats of this team and hear that feedback. And if you see us in public, you know, that's cool treatment to us. Trudeau's, it's like we've seen you on this podcast, and it makes the work that we're doing feel that additional or that extra rewarding. So we appreciate hearing that. So as Trude says, interact, like, follow, subscribe, do that. Yes. We appreciate it.
Huge thank you. So back-to-back losses this past weekend. The Greyhounds, they head out on their longest road trip of the season this weekend. Peterborough on Thursday, January 16th, Kingston on Friday, and Ottawa on Sunday. And so I made sure that before I went through this, Google Maps is my friend. I made sure to get it right. So they will be spending over 20 hours on a bus, traveling over 1,860 kilometers, all in this upcoming weekend. So hopefully they can take some wins on the road here coming up. So
road games are the best, Trudes. Everyone loves being at home, but the way you get to bond with your team, there's nothing like doing that on the road in major junior hockey.
Especially if you're on a bus for over 20 hours. Like that's really, I think that's one of the reasons why this team is always so close year after year, right? Like they travel more than anybody, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but. Yep. Like I think that's why, like, you're seeing when a player like Charlie Schenkel and a player like Andrew Gibson leaves, it's so like emotional for everybody because of all that time they spend together on that bus. So
the games, the card games that they play, you know, the bonding, the movies that you watch, the restaurant eating, and I'm sure there's check. You know, like foot check. They do the pranks to each other when they're eating. Okay, that happens, and it's not hazing. Just so everyone knows, it's fine. We make somebody sing, or it's all team bonding. Okay, it's all team bonding, and this team has it unlike no other with the travel, and it's a tight knit group for that reason. And I think it's challenging being on the road and traveling that much. You get bus legs, just like you would get jet lag if you're in the National Hockey League. But getting that bus leg, you have it. But they stop routinely. These guys are grooming to be professional hockey players or have that aspiration to. So the travel is different once you go up in the higher levels. But they have the different preparedness. They have the different standards. They know how to erase. I've never been a believer of bus leg unless you did a full bus for 24 hours or you never got out of the seat for 24 hours. They do stop, they do move, but the bonding is fantastic. And I think those are the moments in major junior that you really have to try to enjoy, is that bonding with your team in the trips, because that's where the memories are made, is playing the games, but the time on the bus, the memories you share, the card games that you play, or if you have a video game council going on, if they have that on the bus, whatever it is, you bond, and that's fantastic. A lot of travel though for the Hounds. Good point, Trudes. A lot of travel.
Charlie Schenkel.
Charlie.
He got quite the send off.
I missed the game. I missed the game. I was upset, but I heard. I need to hear it from you though. I want to hear it from you.
Well, you know what the coolest thing about it is that like the anthem hadn't even sounded yet. I think. Yeah. Like it was like they were rolling out the red carpet for the anthem, and it was in that kind of like little lull where both teams are on, like they came on the ice, but then like we're waiting for the anthem, so everyone's just kind of quiet, and it just sat like the whole building just erupted like in a Charlie chant, and like you could tell like he must have been real, like he must have been getting emotional, like it was just such a powerful moment, like for everybody there. I never really experienced anything like that, I don't think, in the last 10 years of going to Greyhound games. Like it was so cool. And then they even stopped mid halfway through the first period. They had a video for Charlie. They played a video, and
well done.
Everybody stopped and looked at it. And I especially noticed too, the Kingston players also stood up and participated in the standing ovation for their new teammates, with which I thought was really, really cool as well. So like to see how a player like that is so respected among the league is just, I think it probably just
speaks wonders.
Speaks to his character. So
100%.
That was really cool. And
really cool.
And you know what? He didn't have he didn't have a classic Charlie Schenkel game, but oh my goodness, like what was going through his head the whole time? Like that's had to have been a tough time to try and zone in and focus on stopping the puck and playing a hockey game.
You get traded that week. You're back where you played. You're trying to mentally prepare, right? You get that ovation at the beginning of the game. I'm sure I heard throughout the whole game they were kind of always continuing, right? So you're hearing that, you're feeling tickled because of it. Yeah, I'll use that word. The emotional, you get the goosebumps. Okay, that goalies hear that. Players can sit here all day and say that they block it out. Nah. Especially if you have the whole arena stating and chanting your name, you hear that, and it goes here. Okay, but that's something that Charlie should say, you know what, it will take away his whole life, no matter what the career path is for him after this year. If it's pros, if it's your European pro, wherever he goes pro, or if he doesn't and he goes a different route and he just plays a couple more years somewhere and then gets into a career, whatever it is, he will always have that in his memory. I still expect Charlie to play a little bit more past the OHL. There's got to be a team that'll definitely pick him up, 100%. But and his character, that just speaks on it, like you said, and it also speaks on our community. I love hearing that from the community that they did. I know the Facebook page are saying, hey, let's pump them up, let's cheer them, and it was actually happening. Thumbs up to the Hounds organization, Kingston, to the fans, of course. I love seeing that, and thumbs up to Charlie for being able to go through that, because that plays with your mind in a good way, and 100%. what a good send off for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and once he settles in, he'll be really solid there for Kingston. So.
Oh yeah, he will be.
He will be. Andrew Gibson he got a winning goal the other night, and
overtime winner. Or I don't know if it was it overtime. Could be wrong.
I watched the video, but I don't think it was 3-on-3. I think it was a 1 point. So, but still, he's settling in as well. So it's good for them to see success. Yeah. So speak about the travel a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I mentioned before, former players or current players listening will know about this. So maybe for the interest of fans who may not be aware, but the closest opponent for the Greyhounds is 3.5 hours away. So the closest road game is that far. Sudbury and Saginaw are the closest, both around 4 hours. Compared to a team like Hamilton or Guelph, who has multiple opponents within the hour range. So those teams could go in a weekend without even spending a day in a hotel, right? They just travel an hour, go to the game,
play, go home.
Play, go home, and sleep in their own bed. So with the Greyhounds, it's very different. Every second weekend is a travel weekend. Spending the weekend, multiple hotels, getting into the opponent's town maybe at 1 or 2 a.m. after you've played a game in a different city, having to get up the next day, play the next day. So it's like a huge grind. And I just wanted to mention it because it's their biggest road trip of the season. They only do this once a year. And so like huge respect for the boys, the coaching staff to go out each night and give it their best while traveling a lot of kilometers and X amount of kilometers. And I also wanted to mention a couple other, staff members that have a huge part in the process as well. Jerry Liscombe Jr., which a lot of fans will recognize him as the radio announcer. He actually does a lot of like work dealing with the hotels and planning the itinerary and like food, getting food for the guys. So like he does a lot. The equipment manager, when I worked for the Greyhounds, it was Simon Payette. They have a new one. I believe his name's Nike Simpson. I remember not seeing Simon for a whole 2 days because he'd just be at the rink the whole time, just getting stuff ready. And then Julian Cooper, the athletic therapist, they play a huge role in getting the guys ready and prepared, all in different ways, same as the coaching staff. But no doubt we would not have the entertainment without the staff, especially the staff too that you don't see behind the scenes. So just a little glimpse into some of the behind the scenes stuff there, a little more appreciation to everything.
I appreciate that shout out, Trudes, because they get recognition more. Like people do know that that's done, but they don't get the recognition as much as they deserve. But it's starting to be a bit more noticed in the world of hockey for teams, I'm noticing, but it still can be better because the equipment, everything in behind the scenes, those are the heroes for the team, for the players, and the players will second that. I'll tell you right now, you talk to any player, they'll say how much they appreciate everyone that helps get them prepared. Okay. Because as much as they're getting prepared and being the player and being the face that's on front, that wears that jersey, there's people behind the scenes that are really helping them get it done. And someone like Jerry Linscombe Jr., I'll give a quick little thing here. I've known Jerry for years, just from my days of playing, but through my years of radio, through connections of Sovereign Communications, ESPN 1400, with the Game Sports podcast, connected through the late Scott Nason with the game. So there's a lot there that I know he's been doing for years, and people hear him on the radio, but there's more definitely behind the scenes. And he knows that he's been very patient with working with the game on the media passes side of things. So I definitely give a little extra shout out to Jerry for that. So he's definitely great. The top, I know we don't have too much time, Choots, because it's just time overall, and we do a better job with time on this show than we do with other segments, so I'll make sure I stick to that. But two things that we'll get into very quickly: the top prospects. At the day of recording, we're recording January 15th. On this day, we record between Tuesday and Thursday with uploading Wednesday, with uploading the Thursday. And before this, while we're doing the show, that's before puck drop for the top prospects game. It's tonight at 7, I believe, if I'm correct. January 15th at 7 is the game, is the date I have up on the CHL. I'm good. Okay, good. But there's a lot of
tune in because we'll be too late. But
it's gonna. You got Martin there. You got Hayes there. Just shout out to the two Hounds that are there. But there's overall a lot of good talent in that game. Porter Martone. You got Jack Ivan Kovic in that. There's names I'm not listing, but there's Michael Misa. I think's another one that in there. There's
as the captain of the Eastern Conference. He's a solid player for the Brampton Bulldogs. Yeah.
So there's good names.
Be a good game. A lot of scouts attendance.
We're gonna not be able to by the time you listen to the show, you're definitely going to have already heard what happened in the game and everything that has gone on. So we're not going to dive into that. But two shutouts to two Hounds of their Hayes and Martin. Martin is a pro.
Don't
Martin
get hurt.
and Martin is a pro. Hayes is too. And I've heard nothing but good about Hayes as well.
Injured, like Hayes is just coming back, so this will actually be his first game back. But that's a tough first game back off an injury.
Very tough, but also good. But also a good game back.
Yeah. So just please don't get hurt, guys. So this poor team just can't get over injuries this season. Can't believe it.
It's one of those years.
Just hoping everybody's healthy and stays healthy soon.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone enjoys the game and enjoyed the game now that you're listening to it after. Not just the Game Sports podcast, the Connor McDavid OHL top prospects.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's very cool. Who just had his banner retired in the area as well. Shout out to Connor McDavid too.
7 years old, and
that banner is horrendous though. That banner sucks. I'm sorry. Sorry, Erie. I'm not a fan of that banner. It's not the best looking banner. I'm sorry. Yes, great. Should be done. Awesome. Yes. Banner quality. Yikes. Okay. I'm not there. I'm not feeling it. That's
look. I haven't seen it.
Get a look, and then I'm expecting a text, and we'll touch on it next week if we remember.
Okay.
Last thing that we got to give a shout out for. I think this is a good thumbs up to give to end the segment for Chuck a Puck. Rory Cairns, former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound, 6th-round pick of the Calgary Flames, 174th overall in the 2020 draft. Former 118-point guy with the Hounds, went from 23 points to 59 points to 118, okay? This guy's growth in the Ontario Hockey League was unbelievable, and it was known after that last year that he's going to make a good impression into the American Hockey League, into Calgary, but at this day of recording, he's played 2 games, and he has 2 assists with a +3 rating. And it's great to see. I like adding that plus minus. Not a lot of people do, but he's done a very good job so far in his couple games. But overall, as a pro, he's done very well. He's a point-a-game guy with the Calgary Wranglers in the American Hockey League. He's definitely earned his keep to go up. And kudos to Rory Cairns, Trudeau.
Kudos to Rory Cairns. I remember when he came up, and I think it was his second year. He got a little bit more playing time, and I was chatting with fans, and I'm like, yeah, he's got a pro shot. He might score 40 goals, and I think he did. Yep. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he's continued to produce. I would be surprised if he continues to produce at the NHL level. We'll see, but it looks like his production hasn't ceased at all. He's a point per game in the AHL, and I mean that's why the Greyhounds are here, right? And that's why the major junior hockey exists. You look at a guy like Rory Cairns, who's a 4th-round pick. Oh, and here he goes. He was 2nd in the league in scoring, and then he goes on to have quite the great start to his professional career. So, props to everyone involved in his development, and good luck to him in the NHL. Hopefully he stays there, and hopefully he produces.
I think his best fit, people may not like this take, but I think I see him as a top 9 forward. I think would be his best fit, where he has the opportunity to maybe hit some second unit, but also PK. He could be a good 2-way guy who can put up 15, 20 goals a season. I see that potential as a 20-goal guy who can be effective in the lineup. I think 20. People think that might be a little high. I don't think it is. I think he's been showing that he can grow each year, and he's only 22 years old, and he's 5'11", 190, decent size. Okay, it's not like he's 5'7", 140. Okay, he's got a decent size to him. Yeah, he's going to be, I think, a good NHLer, and somebody that he's joining Calgary at a very good time. The team is okay. It's not in the best condition. Okay, the flame is not burning like it should be. So I think someone like Rory can help get that flame burning. Okay, I'll leave it at that. No pun intended.
For sure.
Trudes, I know we went a little extra, sort of. I know you got to get going to play a little floor hockey you mentioned, so I appreciate you taking the time as always. We'll be back here next week for another edition of Chuck a Puck, my friend. Do you have any final thoughts before I send you off?
Go Hounds, go.
Love it. Love it. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe and everything in the game. I'm going to talk about more of that at the end of the show, of course, but I'm in particular pointing to Chuck a Puck. Again, we appreciate the shout-outs and the notices in public here in Sault Ste. Marie when it comes to the Chuck a Puck segment. So please keep that coming and interact. And next week, we got, as always, an action-packed agenda every week with Chuck a Puck here on the game. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got some football in the pocket. wild card weekend that just passed in the National Football League, and we got NCAA Championship around the corner too, so lots of football to get into, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. Dave McCaig continuing to host you this evening in a different attire for the third segment. If you noticed, good for you. I am joined by the one, the only, Justin Hykel. Hike, my friend, how are you?
It's good to be back. Good. Got a lot of good football to talk about this week. Honestly,
it's been great.
Like, I mean, we've said this a couple times now, but it's not often the college games are, kind of taking center stage over some of the NFL games.
Right.
A couple stinkers in the NFL side of things last weekend, but no, we got some good stuff to talk about here, and we should get into it.
100%. In the Pocket, which is sponsored by Sports Center Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario's best sports bar over a handful of years in a row. Best wings, just under that. Look, great sports atmosphere. If you're in Sault Ste. Marie, or if you're from out of town and you do enter Sault Ste. Marie, go check out Sports Center. You can go watch any sport game is up there. If you got football, you got hockey, you got baseball, tennis. Doesn't matter what the game is that night, what the sport is that night that you want to watch, or that is just to be watched. You can watch it at Sports Center Bar and Grill. Just a great atmosphere and a great team there. Great staff, great ownership, very supportive of the Game Sports Podcast. When it was originally called the Game Sports Show, we had our first live recording there in our first Soo Ontario show there in 2016, and it's 2025. Unbelievable. And obviously since COVID, we haven't been doing live recordings on locations. We have adapted and switched and done things through pre-recording video and in offices. But of course, Sports Center and the Game Sports Podcast are a family still strong and have been since day one. So Sports Center Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario's best sports bar, and they're that for a reason. The Game Sports Podcast, obviously, Justin, we have been doing In the Pocket for 8 years. Okay. Like, obviously there's been, if you do the math, next year is going to be 9. The year after that's going to be 10. There's been obviously a slight delay when we started and when we officially started doing In the Pocket, but we've been doing it for 8 seasons strong. Obviously you've been there since the start. EJ has also been there from the start, and he still is, just so everyone knows. I know he's been away for the remainder of this year, but it's obviously he's been a part of it. And we've had some people who are still part of the staff, Justin, but on a casual basis. Jamie Antonello, Matt Primo, Dustin Grondin. And look, I look back and all these shows that we've talked about, all the shows that we've done, the phone on the cup, the 3.5 hour In the Pocket segment on Podomatic. Look, if you find that episode, please tag us. And look, there's been a lot of fun stuff here on the game, but there's In the Pocket has been our longest running segment, even beyond hockey. So obviously something we take great pride in. And Justin, when it's playoff time, we always say this each year, time has flown by, right? I just, like, you think about it, week 1, we were all excited, right? And football's back. And look, we're now hitting the divisional round and we're hitting the national championship for NCAA. It's unbelievable how fast the football season goes overall, but it's been a great season of football. And I know we say that a lot on each year, but truly this year has been better than I think a lot of recent years for football. I really think it's been entertaining, especially from college. And Justin, going right to college, the national championship didn't end up the way that I predicted or that you even predicted. There's a team that's not in there that I thought would be in there. But Notre Dame is not a surprise for myself getting there. I feel like that was a team that can just tell going in there. But you know what? Georgia getting beat. It's been a lot of upsets. And on the front of those upsets have been Ohio State. And that's because Ohio State somehow woke out of bed before this playoff run. And they're like, oh yeah, that is how we play football. It's like they kept it in the tank all year, waited, and just wanted to win, get seeded wherever. And they said, we're just going to turn it up in the playoffs. And the team that we've been seeing on the field, especially against Oregon, Justin, that was an absolute shellacking. Okay, that was not a 1 against an 8 seed. That was a 1 seed against a non-seed. Okay, that's how bad that shellacking was in that game, in my honest opinion. And throughout the entirety of the NCAA playoffs, Ohio State has looked unstoppable. Okay, and I think, though, this college football national championship is going to be one hell of a football game, though.
I think sometimes sports any sport, not just football, go exactly the way you think they're going to go. like the best teams win. And those aren't sometimes the most exciting years. And then every once in a while, and I mean, I'm not trying to build Ohio State up here too much with my terminology, but sometimes there's just like a team of destiny that comes along. And when you watch the games, you're like, there's something special here. I mean, like no matter what, they're making something happen. And I mean, I know I've said this a couple weeks in a row now, but if you circle back to that loss to Michigan, that pushed this Ohio State team over the level. And like, look where they are. Like, they're an absolute steamroller.
No, it's wild. They look too good.
Texas didn't, like, they looked like they had no idea what they were doing on Friday. Like, and we all know that was a very good Texas team. And Ohio State just came out and like you said, just shellacked them. Like, it's crazy. It looks like boys versus men against boys out there. And like, on the other end of it, this Notre Dame team is ran like an NFL squad. Like, they are a very professional, clean looking football team.
Systematic, play the game the way that, from a structure perspective, very structured.
Well coached, and like the players, but on the other end of that too, like, very well coached, but the players are also like, they're dialed in. Like, they are buying everything this coaching staff is selling to them. So this is going to be a game. A
game with 5 underlines, and I'll add the half on there as an underline and the small under half that you get on Microsoft Word when you type it or you type it in email. That's how effective and eye-catching this game is going to be. And there is a quote or a title that I saw from BVM Sports. Okay, not too much familiarity on this end with BVM Sports, so I'm not chirping BVM Sports by any which means, but something that caught my eye. Is Notre Dame tougher than Ohio State? And you brought up the point of that systematic football. And it makes me wonder, on the tougher side, complementing this headline from a mental perspective, if the game gets deep or favored into Ohio State a little bit. If Ohio State gets ahead early, 14-0, that's the tougher end. I think the heading means strength. I'm not going to read it. I'm just looking pure headline right now. But if they're talking about mental strength, which I'm sure they're not, I'm sure they're talking about tougher, I think that's where Notre Dame's going to have the advantage that other teams didn't against Ohio State. You thought maybe Oregon was going to come back, but true fans and people that know sports, which like ourselves, I knew Oregon was not coming back against Ohio State in that game. That game was done after the first quarter. And you can tell by the mannerisms on the field by Oregon. In Texas, Ohio State, you knew was the better team. Notre Dame, they have that mental toughness I see. And you mentioned structure and team, the buy-in. I think that's going to be a big part to that if Ohio State comes out guns a-blazing in that first quarter. Tougher in terms of strength, I get that point too, because Notre Dame, if you want to look at size or you want to look at the way that the team plays, but everything that's been done this year, you got to this one game. It can all change in one game. The Ohio State Cinderella story run, it's not even really a Cinderella story, but they've been steamrolling. Notre Dame has been well as well, but what's going to come down in this game is who is tougher. And I think the toughness has to come from a mental perspective, not strength, not system. It's who gets ahead. Don't get lost. You're in the first quarter down by 2 touchdowns. Who gives a shit? You're going back out there and keep it up. And I feel like, to contradict this headline, I think Ohio State is mentally tougher than Notre Dame because of what they've had to come through after losing and who they've beaten on the way. Justin, I interrupted you there, though, before that point.
To me, I mean, again, I'm all about the cliches this week, but like, this is kind of a chess match until it isn't. Like, as soon as both these teams, as soon as someone slips, they go for a kill shot, and then they just keep going. Yeah. And to what you said there, like, to the mental toughness, it's going to be like whoever slips. It's just going to be like, if there's one boneheaded play, or, not even mental, but a fumble, like something, like, that's what's going to turn the tides in this game and swing it one way or the other. Otherwise, I think they're going to be like offense, defense, special teams. I think they're equally matched on all fronts.
They are. And like, if this is speaking of cliches, this game's going to come down to 2 names. It's going to come down to Will Howard and Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. But the swollen hand for Will Howard, all right, is that going to be a factor going into the game? That's where the mental toughness is going to come in. What's been happening? Maybe it will affect, but ultimately it's going to come down to Riley Leonard and it's going to come down to Will Howard. And if I had to pick a favorite right now, leading to my prediction for this football game, it's Ohio State, but in a very close game, in a very high scoring game, in one hell of a football game. But those are the two players, as cliche as you want to get, those are the two players that are going to make or break the game. I'm not going to talk about receivers. I'm not going to talk about running backs, defense winning championships. No, I'm excited to see Will Howard and Riley Leonard duke it out. Hike, who do you got to win? I got Ohio State.
Yeah, I got Ohio State too. No, there's not really much controversy or excitement to be had here. We're both picking Ohio State.
Yeah, no, Ohio State, and it's going to be one hell of a football game. Will Howard against Riley Leonard. We will see, but overall Ohio State and Notre Dame. Who do you got? Comment below on who you think's got this game this week. It's going to be one hell of a football game. I say that again for the 10th time. NFL, Justin, okay, as we transition from the college side of things, we get into the NFL. To talk about last week in the wild card weekend, to be honest with you, look, I'll say it first and get it out of the way. Steelers lost to the Ravens. I did predict that as a Steeler fan. Been a Steeler fan since when I got into football when I was around 10 years old. Big Ben Roethlisberger fan. Was excited when they drafted him. Saw them win 2 Super Bowls, lose 1 Super Bowl to Green Bay, and a lot of chokes in the playoffs after that. And now the Steelers haven't won playoffs since after 2017 with Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin, in my eyes, is still the best coach in the National Football League. Biased, sure, a bit, but I love Mike Tomlin. I think the reason why this team even got a sniff at the playoffs this year was because of him. And Russ Wilson decided to play like 2012 Russell Wilson for about 6 weeks and then came back down to reality. This is a team that was not where they were supposed to be or where people predicted them to be this year. And if you say that you did predict the Steelers to be in the playoffs, I would ask you why. And I'm sure 90% of you would say because of their defense, because of how well that defense is, and perhaps the running back depth and maybe George Pickens going into this year. Maybe after this year, you have different thoughts about George Pickens, but ultimately you compare them to the Ravens or you compare them to the Bengals, depending on what the Bengals did, I still saw the Steelers behind those two teams this year.
Yeah,
right?
Cincinnati deserved to be there over the Steelers.
And I, as a Steeler fan, I will tell you I agree. In that football game, Derrick Henry is gross. Lamar Jackson is gross. That team is gross. They're not the best team. They're not the team that's going to come out of that conference. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be somebody else that's coming out of there. But between either two teams, in my opinion, one that everybody is going to roll their eyes at, but one that I truly think will be. But we're going to get there in a minute. We've already talked about that last week. If you want to guess and see what our predictions were, but the Ravens were the better football team. They are the better football team, and they proved it. But as a Steeler fan, despite the last handful of weeks being losses, it was awesome to see another playoff game. There's been success in the organization, but now there needs to be a look at what they want to do, okay? Because this was supposed to be the year of grooming Justin Fields, looking at the future a little bit, get ready for next year or the year after. But now you made the playoffs. Now this defense is a year already into it, and you have this defense for a couple of years. You got to go into it now, and I think you got to address the quarterback position. So if that's what you want to do, or you got to ride it with Justin Fields. But ultimately, sticking to the football playoff script, the better team won between the Ravens and Steelers, but I was just happy to see playoff football with Pittsburgh again this year, despite the outcome. Now, the other crappy game was the Bills-Broncos of the week, one that we predicted, even though one team in it is very exciting, but 31-7 in that game, the better team won, Justin. And if you want to have comments about the Broncos and Bills or Steelers and Ravens before we move on to the other games.
I thought the first quarter of the Bills-Broncos game was good. The rest of the game, not so great. I also was really upset that I was taking cheap shots, and one of the highlight packages there, all of a sudden they're talking up Sean Payton, and they just got to throw out the Indy New Orleans Super Bowl onside kick after half bullshit. Like, come on. It's like 15 fucking years ago, and I'm catching strays in the middle of a totally unrelated game. So thanks CBS for that one.
Much appreciated. Justin appreciates that.
But no, I mean, better team won. The only real shocker to me in that whole weekend was San Diego, or not San Diego, LA, the Chargers.
Yes.
I thought Houston's not that good.
Right? What happened? What? Like playoff Hubert is like, get out of here, dude. Like, who are you?
Yeah, I don't.
Give me Aaron Rodgers instead.
I'm not sure what happened there, but I mean, hopefully the Chargers address some, maybe some receiver help in the offseason. And
George Pickens?
No, nobody wants that. But no, that was really the only big surprise for me. And now, rolling into this week, I think Houston's going to get steamrolled by the Chiefs.
Steamrolled. I'm telling you right now. Steamrolled this week.
If they win that, like, I will probably have to eat a sock or something next week on this show.
I'll put a sock in my mouth. No, I won't. No, I won't put a sock in my mouth. But we'll figure out something because there's no chance in hell. As Vince McMahon would say, there's no chance. No way that I play that game out of my head does Houston win that game. Yep. I didn't think so either. That Vikings game was the same thing. I'm sorry, the Vikings-Rams game was the same thing for me. I didn't think the Rams would, let alone win the game, but hold them to single digits.
So,
like Sam Darnold. No? Did we just get hyped about Sam Darnold this year and then he just came to show his true colors? Like, what did we see?
I learned something over the weekend in talking to several Vikings fans around town and people that I know that are Vikings fans. A very similar group to us Leaf fans. Very pessimistic. Like, oh, congrats, you guys are in the playoffs this week, like looking like a pretty good team. Oh no, it's over. What do you mean it's over? You're 14-2. What do you mean it's over? And then the game happened on Monday night, and it's like, I understand. I see where you're coming from. I understand why you're the way you are.
And you got a receiving core that features Justin Jefferson, okay, who had limited to under 60 yards in that game.
Your quarterback's getting his head smashed in on the ground.
9 sacks.
Like, that was ridiculous. That offensive line looked like public bathroom toilet paper. Like,
sack lunch all day.
Man,
it's just like, oh, here we go. Oh,
how bad for him. Like, he just, Sam Darnold's running all over the place. He, spins out. Nope, someone this way. Spins back the other way. No, another guy here. And, the Rams have these young guys on their defensive line, and they look like Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald's not there. So, kudos to the Rams for their drafting and developing after literally trading away the farm to win a Super Bowl.
Literally.
But
it's worth it, though. When you win, it's worth it. I'm sorry. I agree with trading the farm.
If you go back and watch the start of that game when Matt Stafford's coming out the tunnel, the game is already over.
Lions fans wouldn't know.
It's just,
But the other two games, Buccaneers, Commanders, Packers, and the Eagles, I know there's a lot of upset Packer fans, and I'm sorry, but I'm not surprised. The Eagles, I felt, are the better playoff team. And what's my rationale to that? Experience. It might be a cliche. It might be a shit answer. I've a couple swears in now. I'm getting flagged all over the place right now. But Eagles, must be the Moscow Mule. But the Eagles and Packers game was not as exciting as I thought it would be either. But the Eagles came out hot. Green Bay didn't get any points until the third quarter. Man, the defense on Philadelphia was that game, and Jalen Hurts only threw 131 yards. He had a couple touchdowns, but he threw 131 yards. And
you don't have to.
Jordan Love, 3 interceptions. Yeah, Saquon is him and Henry, my goodness. Battle it. I want to see them both in the trenches. But 3 INTs from Love. Packer fans this week aren't showing him any love. The guys that I've been talking to, been having 3 INTs, but that's just the reactions I've been receiving from fans, is that they were expecting more from Love, but still threw 212 yards. It's not all him that they lost that game.
Yeah, you weren't. I don't know. I don't like the Eagles as much as I don't like the Chiefs on the other end of things, but there's almost one thing that's always going to happen, is that the Chiefs are going to be annoying in the playoffs and that the Eagles are going to be annoying in the playoffs.
Yep.
They're not.
Yep.
I don't find the Eagles a very exciting team to watch outside of the running game.
Yep.
But they're built for playoff football. They got a defense and they can kill the clock.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? I can be as mad as I want, but they are literally built to just win playoff football games.
And they proved that this week. And Green Bay is done. And I know my neighbor is a Green Bay fan. He's been quite quiet the last couple of days. I've had to make sure.
Hey, listen, I've been driving around with a Colts sticker on my truck for the last couple of years. So
you'll have your day.
People are like, why don't you put a Leaf sticker on your truck? I'm like, because I already have enough pain.
What's worse?
Like, why do I?
What's worse? Last one. I know we're going a little extra before we get to next week, but Commanders, Bucks, another good game. Liked it. I liked it. I liked the fourth quarter was very good, and I thought at the beginning of that quarter when Washington couldn't get it done on the 1 yard line, right? It's like, and then they go for it, right? And you don't get it. You're like, there's the game, right? You lose the momentum. Team's going to be down, and I'm crazy for thinking that because they just came out and said, no, we're not done. This game isn't over yet, and they get away with the win and squeak a win. That's what Daniels is, and the Commanders have been doing on multiple occurrences this year. That's what they've been demonstrating that they can do. They're not out of football games.
Shout out to Tampa though too. That was a fun game to watch.
It's so good of a football game.
Like
that might have been the best game of the week.
I felt bad for Baker, but man, that guy can play. Like he can.
Man, he left Cleveland, went to Carolina or whatever the hell, and then he came over here and he found his fit. Right? Just like I thought Sam Darnold found his fit in Minnesota. But Baker's really found his fit in Tampa Bay. Like he's got his mojo there.
I heard someone call the city of Cleveland today the fake on the lake. I'm not sure, like, is that funny? I don't know.
I like it. I'm curious to know more as to why. Is it just because it's if anyone, do you know what it means more? Is there more?
I have no idea. It was just I was listening to like AM sports radio. And someone called in, they were a Pittsburgh fan, and they were taking shots at Cleveland.
Yo, Pittsburgh fans, don't take shots nowhere. Don't even kick Brown fans when they're down, okay? Because I know we've been, and I'm saying we as a fan, I'm taking off my host mic here for a sec. As a fan, despite the success this organization has had, over 500 playoffs, Super Bowl rings, don't kick teams when we're down because unless we get, again, speaking as a fan, shit together on an offensive perspective, we're going to waste a prime defense and we're going to have some pain. So hold it back, Steeler fans. But that's still funny. If anyone knows what that means, comment below. Sorry, Justin, a little bit extra there with this week. A lot of games to react on, but we got 4 games on the docket, and let me tell you, I'm ready. I'm ready for Saturday at 4:30, and I'm going to be ready until Saturday at 6:30, okay? Because my favorite game of the week is the 2 night games of this weekend that I'm excited to watch. And if the Leafs aren't exciting to watch on Saturday, which I don't think they will be because of the way shit has been the last week, I know where my eyes are going to be glued. But I think I know where my eyes are going to be glued either way because the Lions are Saturday night and the Ravens Bills. That is, give me some of that. Give me that, okay? That is like, I want a steak, lobster. That is it right there. And on Saturday night, I'm at a wedding dancing, doing the Rasputin on the dance floor. So I got Saturday night Rasputin dance, then Sunday night I got my lobster and steak dinner. I some good things to look forward to, okay? There's my things of the week. If you know, you know, okay? Justin, the 4 games this week. Little review, then I'll let you lead the preview of it, and then we can get into our pick 'em to predict this week.
All right. Well, I mean, games, we got Houston and Kansas City this week, Washington in Detroit, Rams at Philly, and Baltimore at Buffalo. Buffalo 6:30 start time on Sunday, just so everyone knows. Doesn't think it's a late game. But, I mean, starting it off, I'm taking KC over Houston. Obviously, I don't, I've said my piece on that. I think Kansas City's going to roll with that one. Detroit over Washington. Absolutely no punts in this game. Every 4th down is being gone. You know what I mean? 4th and 13, we're going for it.
100%.
And getting into the Sunday games, I got Rams over Philly just because, again, I hate the Eagles. I got to pick a team to hate, and Kansas City hasn't done me any good hating them the last few years. So the Eagles, you win.
Congratulations, Philly.
Yeah, Matt Stafford just going to roll. Keep rolling.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Buffalo over the Ravens on Sunday night. As far as the scores go, I got Buffalo 37, Baltimore 34 in a tight one. And then I got Rams 28 and Philly 24. Most points this week, Buffalo. Fewest points this week, Houston.
Well, we're pretty close on things. But following Justin's lead, Chiefs, Texans. Look, I said this last year. Are you ready for it? If you know, you know. Taylor Swift reference. Okay, people. Kansas City is going to win this football game. They're the better team. The experience, they ain't going to stop there. Okay, this is a team that's ready to go in the playoffs. They're poised. They're going to be wild at Arrowhead. It's going to be – I wouldn't be surprised if it was a a couple touchdown lead. Take the over. Take the over, in my opinion. But we've had surprises before, but I am picking the Chiefs over the Texans. Lions, Commanders. All right, Lions, here we go. All right, this is where your playoffs start. Look, if you're selling your ticket and you're in Sault Ste. Marie, get your money. Get your money, honey, or go watch a game that's going to be absolutely epic to watch. It is going to be a game that the Lions are going to win. I'm going to say the Lions are winning that football game. And I'll say by a couple touchdowns. But I still think it's going to be one heck of an entertaining football game because Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are never out of games. And the Lions, I think this is their year. I've said it. This is the Lions' year. Eagles, Rams. I don't hate the Eagles. There's other teams that I hate, but I am taking the Eagles over the Rams just because of someone named Saquon Barkley. And I know despite the Rams, potential on defense, I think that offense is just going to be too much. Despite what eyes come out of the tunnel, what's Matt Stafford's look, I think I got Jalen Hurts over and Barkley in that game. It's going to be the Eagles, as much as people may not like that, especially Green Bay fans. The Ravens-Bills in the best game of the week this week. The best game. Telling you right now. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Heck, this might be that game where it's 4th and 21 and guys are going for it because you see Derrick Henry's going to run 30 yards. They're going to do a 4th down handoff at their own 30-yard line. That's what's going to happen in Baltimore. That's how crazy this team can be, but that's also how crazy the Bills can be. But let me tell you, if there's one team that I think can take down Josh Allen after a week where he's had a week of rest, it is the Ravens. Okay, this is going to be a tight game, and I'm picking the Bills because they're a team that I had a prediction to, really have a good run this playoff if you would have listened to last week's and the playoff predictions. But Bills coming on top. Scores, I got 42-38 for the Bills over the Ravens. We're very close on that, Justin, a very tight one. The next game, I got 28-14, Eagles over the Rams. The most points this week, believe it or not, I know I said 42 points for the Bills, but I got the Lions. I'm not taking a Justin Hykel 52-14 like he did last year in his prediction, but I will say just for points, I'm going to say the Lions are going to get 48 this week. Okay, they're just going to be too shy of 50. That's what's going to happen. In the least points this week, the Texans, because they're going to run into the Mahomes effect, and Taylor Swift's going to do some voodoo from the stands, and they're going to get less than 10 points because that's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be a couple flags that people are going to be mad at the refs. We all know what's going to happen this week. So least points, the Texans. Justin, I took a lot of avenues with those picks. I went.
You were
cooking.
A couple timelines.
Got this. I had to take a sip of my Moscow Mule because of that. Got a little dry there, but it's fun. I'm excited for football this weekend. Okay, I'm excited.
It's that time of year. I mean, you're into the pretenders have been weeded out, aside from Houston, and we'll get rolling this weekend.
Love it, Justin. This is good. I know we went. This is probably about 10 minutes extra over. I like to announce that each time, but there's a lot to get into. Our next show, we've really been stressing time constraints, but hey, we get going. We get excited. We know
college has been too good not to talk about it. So
hasn't the NFL. So has the NFL. But college a bit more. Justin and I talked about that off air. There's been a little bit more excitement on that route this year a little bit, but we're not getting into that. It's a whole other topic. Justin, until next week, man. Next week when we come back, the divisional round's going to be completed, and we're going to be getting into the conference championships before we have a break from the in the pocket side of things before the Super Bowl on February 9th. And next week, we'll also have the national championship to give a little recap too. So I'm expecting at least a 20-minute segment next week as well, just so everyone knows because of reaction overall, just with all these games. But next week, we're going to be talking national championship winner and conference championships, dude. That's going to be wild.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We're at this point in the year now. I mean, we've been watching it every week, so it's not a surprise that we're here. But it seems like time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Like I said, this college season's been bananas, and
banana sandwich.
Only looking forward to more next year, and we're gonna have to slot in a little more time in the fall for college talk.
Yeah, 100%. A little bit more. We're going to have to make the segment of In the Pocket as much as Top Shelf is. Okay, and Chuck-a-Puck is getting that love too, so they're in there saying, hey, we're here too. Okay, so we got to make room for all the segments that we do here on the game, and we do it because we enjoy it and we appreciate your feedback, which can segue me into of course, the closing side. Again, Justin, thank you very much. Until next week, my friend.
Yeah, we'll see you here. Same bat time, same bat channel.
I love it. Love it. Game Sports Podcast. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Wherever you are, it's at the Game Sports Podcast. Also, shout out to Spaces. Spaces, which is presented through and aired and shown through Soo Today and Village Media. Spaces, very appreciative that they're now part of the Game Sports Podcast family and all that they're doing with that Spaces platform. And it's expanded outside the Soo now. So the Spaces is growing. Get on that train, especially if you're someone who's a content provider like myself. Or ourselves here on the Game Sports Podcast. Also, 91 Network. Hit like, follow, subscribe on there. We've seen the subscribers go up there on 91 Network. Keep that coming. Keep the numbers growing. We appreciate that. But either way, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Game Sports Podcast. And we want you to interact, so don't hesitate to comment below or leave your feedback. And don't hesitate to hit that share button. We want you to tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog. We want you to listen to the Game Sports Podcast. Now, Justin, again, thank you to you. Thank you to Alex. Thank you to Brennan. And thank you to Jordan Trudeau for all of everything of this content this week. It's been fantastic, as it is every week, not being biased. And until next week, I'm here to remind you, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.